Hello friends, welcome back once again to my channel, and today I'm going to discuss on a very important topic, and that topic is about can we consider exercise as a drug. So the thing is that as we have been hearing a lot of beneficial effects about exercise and regular exercise for the promotion of health, cure of disease, which have been clearly shown in a lot of scientific studies. Through this video, I would like to present the idea that exercise can be considered as a drug actually, because exercise causes a numerous beneficial effects for health, including longevity. But before starting any exercise regimen, we have to find out the right dosing to get the actual benefits. Otherwise, results are not achieved and people get frustrated. And they start complaining about I'm not able to reduce my tummy fat, I'm not able to reduce my weight, etc. So as with many drugs, we know that dosing is very important. It's extremely important to get the desired beneficial effects. In case of exercise also, dosing is very important to get the benefits of exercise. So that's why before starting any workout regimen, we need to understand how the body responds to exercise and how adaptation occurs, because understanding them is of great importance in order to be able to prescribe exercise in an appropriate manner. And special attention must be paid to the psychological effects of exercise also, and because doing the same kind of exercise repeatedly causes adaptation, and further benefits from exercise is basically hindered. So you'll not be able to get further benefits from exercise if you keep on doing the same kind of exercise. So just like it is seen in the case of drugs, that some people are resistant to drug in some individuals. So in case of exercise also, if adaptation occurs, it's called mainly HPA, habituation or habituation, and that is the full name. The full form is hypothalamo-pituitary adrenal axis, which is basically present in the brain. And in that scenario, to get the further benefits from exercise, variation has to be changed. If you keep on doing the same kind of exercise, the body will adapt and you will not be able to get the desired benefit. So on the other hand, in case of a pharmaceutical drug or a medication, it needs to be changed to provide further benefits to the patients. So this is one of the reasons to believe that exercise is so powerful that it can be considered as a psychoactive drug also. And what we have seen in moderate cases, it causes a very pronounced relaxing effects on the majority of the population, but some persons may even become addicted to exercise because of the endorphins released during a workout. And finally, we are also going to discuss about some contraindications related to exercise that arises when people are severely ill, and these are basically described in the final section of the video. So let's get back to the topic. Exercise is so effective that it should be considered as a drug. That is not my opinion, that is what evidence-based research says. But more attention should be paid to the dosing and to individual variation between patients, because everybody's physiology is individualized, and just like the same drug is not going to work in each and every individual, exercise is also like that, because the body's physiology is individualized, it's different. And also the World Health Organization has already defined health as physical and mental and social well-being, not merely absence of disease and infirmity. So the idea that physical activity promotes health and longevity is not a new concept, because way back in 2500 BC in ancient China, there are records of organized exercise for health promotion which have been found in the history, in the literature. Additionally, in the Greco-Roman times also, 2500 years ago, Hippocrates during 460 to 370 BC, and later a physician named Aelius Galenus or Claudius Galenus during 130 to 210 AD, who was better known as the Galen of Parmagon, was a physician, surgeon and a philosopher in the Roman Empire, and who had expertise in anatomy, surgery, pharmacology and therapeutic methods. Also famous for bringing philosophy into the medicine, recognized the need to promote and prescribe exercise for health related benefits and the need to provide general medical care for athletic individuals and for the general population. So we know that even history has got the proof that for so many like thousands and thousands of years ago, exercise has already been considered as a medicine, as a drug, and it's useful for preventing various kind of health related issues. So in this regard, the philosopher Plato also have said during 427 to 347 AD, said that lack of activity destroys the good condition of every human being, while movement and methodical physical exercise saves and preserves it. So exercise is one of the most frequently prescribed therapies both in health and disease. There is a mountain of evidence showing the beneficial effects of exercise both to prevent and to treat several diseases. Researchers have shown that both men and women who report increased level of physical activity and fitness have reduction in relative risk of death by almost 20 to 35%. Isn't that sound good? Isn't that sound great that your death rate will be reduced by 20 to 35% if you work out regularly? And recent research also suggests that modest increment in energy expenditure due to physical activity, let's say you're burning almost 1000 calories per week, or an increase in physical fitness, is associated with lowering mortality rate by 20%. And in this era of pandemic, it has become really evident that exercise is the most important way to bring your immunity up and fight all those various diseases, to stay safe and healthy. So physically inactive middle-aged women engaging in less than 1 hour of exercise per week has experienced a 52% increase in their death rates. So doubling of cardiovascular related health issues has increased by 29%, and increase with cancer by 30%. So that's it. So we know that through exercise we can get various amounts of benefits, general illnesses to critical illnesses. Why not follow exercise regularly? So thus there is a clear evidence that regular physical activity produces significant health effects and reduces the risk of premature death also. So from any cause and from any cardiovascular disease, in particular amongst men and women, the benefits of physical activity are evident not only in healthy persons but also in patients. So like exercise is such a kind of multivitamin, such a kind of medication where it's beneficial for the healthy people also. Unlike drugs, if you are sick then only you have to take. So that is one of the advantages of exercise. The dosage of exercise are very, very important. In clinical medicine, be it a pharmaceutical drug or in exercise, dosage is the most important thing, because when a pharmaceutical drug is marketed and advertised, and when a workout program is advertised in websites and health magazines, require data on their efficacy and safety. What I mean to say is that when a new product or a drug is launched in the market, it has to be proven that it should be effective, and thus the same way if the workout program is marketed, it has to be safe and effective. So it's not like that if you keep on increasing exercise, you are going to get further benefits. There is a limit for everything. Otherwise, the benefits will outweigh, the more damage will be done to your body than, more damage will be done to your body than you are supposed to get the benefit from exercise. So there has to be a certain limitation for exercises also, and just like in case of drugs. However, on the other hand, in the field of medical sciences, there is Food and Drug Administration, which sets specific standards, guidelines and recommendations for each pharmaceutical drug to be prescribed by the medical doctors to their patients from minimal to maximal dosages safely. So there is a world body, the FDA is there to guide the doctors to prescribe medication. Earlier in the field of exercise science, there always existed a continuous debate on how much, what type, how often, what intensity and how lengthy physical activity should be. And that's why there was no specific set standards for prescribing the right dosage of exercise to individuals by exercise physiologists until American College of Sports Medicine came into existence in the year 1954. So what I mean to say is that there was no such body which sets the dosage or standards or guidelines for exercise for general people. That's why it has become really very important for issuing evidence-based public recommendation of exercise in order to avoid further confusion amongst the general public. So over the years, various experts, groups and exercise science organizations based on the evidence-based science available have presented different physical activity recommendations and workout guidelines for the public. And as a result, the number of recommendations has escalated because there are numerous scientific organizations all over the world which gives on setting guidelines. So it's creating a lot of confusion among the people. How much exercise you need to do? What should be the duration of exercise? It has been escalated a lot. People are getting confused. So what to do? What kind of exercise regimen to follow? That's why to solve this confusion, SESM, which is the largest and the most respected sports medicine and exercise science organization in the world, founded in 1954, has released the position stance, which are basically the official guidelines by SESM for prescribing the right dosage of exercise to individuals, called quantity and quality of exercise for developing, maintaining cardiorespiratory, musculoskeletal and neuromuscular fitness in apparently healthy adults. And it was published on 2011 in the official journal of SESM named Medicine and Science in Sports and Fitness. So this is actually a latest revised guidelines which was published earlier in 1998. So as science is evolving, the guidelines has also changed. So after 20 years, a new guidelines has been published, and the purpose of this position stand is to provide guidance to professionals, certified trainers, gym trainers who counsel and prescribe individualized exercise to healthy individuals and adults of all ages basically. And this recommendation also may apply to adults with certain chronic diseases or disabilities when appropriately evaluated and advised by a health professional. So the thing is that, so the guidelines has been set, the position stand has been set, and ACSM recommends that the minimum dosage of exercise for adults, for most adults engaged in moderate intensity, should be 50 to 60% of your target heart rate in case of cardiorespiratory exercise. So a beginner should do, the dosage of exercise should be 50 to 60%, maybe 50 to 60% of their target heart rate, and they should train a minimum of 30 minutes per day, and for a minimum of 5 days per week, coming up to 150 minutes of exercise. And in case of high intensity cardiovascular exercise, they should do at an intensity of 85 to 95 minutes, at the target heart rate of 85 to 95% intensity, and they should target at least a minimum of 25 minutes per day and 3 days per week. So it should be a minimum of 75 minutes per week. So for vigorous intensity cardiovascular exercise, it should be at the target heart rate of 85 to 95% of intensity, and they should target to burn 1000 calories. And in case of resistance training, they should do 2 to 3 days of resistance training in a week, training each muscle groups at least 2 times a week. And for beginners and sedentary individuals, one should go for 40 to 50% of 1 RM, 1 repetition maximum, and the repetition should be 50 to 20 per set, 1 to 2 sets per exercise, and the rest should be between 1 minute between sets. And this is basically for novice and for beginners. For intermediate levels, moderate to high intensity resistance training is allowed 60 to 70% of 1 RM. Reps should be 10 to 15%, 10 to 15 reps, 2 to 3 sets per exercise, and rest should be 2 to 3 minutes. And for professionals or advanced individuals, the weight training resistance intensity should be more than 80%, 80% to above, 80% and above, and repetition should be 6 to 12 per sets, 3 to 4 sets per exercise, and rest should be 4 to 5 minutes. And for flexibility, one should always go for 20 to 30 minutes of flexibility related exercise for 2 to 3 days, and exercise should be done in such a manner that the stretching is held for 60 seconds. And for general functional training for balance and agility, which is also very important for adults, aging adults, and it should be say for 2 to 3 days per week, and it should not be less than 30 minutes in a week. 30 minutes per session, and in a week it should be say 100 minutes per week. So adults who are unable to, willing, who are unable or willing to meet the exercise targets outlined here in these guidelines here can still get the benefit from engaging in amounts of exercise than recommended. So what I mean to say is that it's not like that you have to follow the guidelines strictly. You can follow at least 50% of these guidelines, and slowly you can build up so that you can get the desired energy to follow the whole guideline. So it's very important that it's our job to educate the adults about screening for signs and symptoms of cardiovascular heart disease, and gradual progression of exercise and intensity and volume may be reduced, the risk of exercise, and before starting any exercise one should consult with their physician and should be cleared from their behalf, and they should get a certificate that they are ready to join a gym, so that the safety of exercise is enhanced. And in the pharmacological treatment of many conditions, physicians typically start with a low dose of drug, what we have seen, and which is believed to be the minimum effective dose. So in case of exercise also, a patient or a client should always start with the minimum dose of exercise. So if the patient does not respond this initial dose, then he or may be increased the dose to upward to a maximum dose. Just in case of the exercise also, if the minimum dose is not showing that kind of results, you can increase the dosage of exercise, intensity of exercise slowly and building up to the higher intensity. So definitely there are a little bit of contraindications regarding exercises also, and individuals who are already fit may surpass these guidelines. For professionals, the guidelines are totally different, and it's for individuals who are healthy, apparently healthy, and who have been training for many years. Thus, these fit individuals who have met the physical activity levels recommended for healthy adults basically, and who have experience for years, can at least increase their activity, or they can double their activity limits. For example, there should be 150 minutes of workout every week, so it can be increased to 300 minutes also. So that's the thing. And relatively there are a little bit of contraindications related to exercise, just like when a doctor prescribes a medication to diseased clients, he takes utmost care, so that the disease is not further escalated, or they don't suffer from any kind of untoward side effects. So in case of exercises also, if somebody is suffering from diabetes, they have to check their blood glucose level before starting the workout program. They should keep any kind of glucose or any kind of sugar products with them in handy. And people who are suffering from COPD or any kind of cardiopulmonary obstructive disorder like asthma and bronchitis, they should keep their puff along with them, emergency medication. People who are cardiac patients, they should always keep their medication, aspirin or other kinds of emergency medication like sublingual formulas, those kind of medication which has been prescribed by the doctor. In case of emergency, the cardiac patients should keep them along with them. And in case of arthritis patient also, there are periods of flaring up on the joints, and during that period the exercise should be done in such a manner that impact based kinds of exercise has to be avoided. And in case of pregnant women also, the exercise has to be done according to the comfort level of the women or the pregnant lady, and depending on the clearance by the doctor, one has to follow the guidelines given by the American Council of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and depending on that, the exercise program has to be designed. And in case of hypertension also, we need to check regularly the blood pressure of the individual before exercise and after exercise. So these are certain things, contraindications. Definitely exercise is very good for everyone, even for diseased people, diseased clients, but it is our job to provide and give the right dosage of exercises to special population, which means people who are ill, critically ill, pregnant ladies and elderly women who are suffering from any kind of health related issues. So these are certain things we need to take into consideration before prescribing all these kind of exercises. And further, I would also like to tell you that we know that exercise is very important, and we have been telling again and again that exercise is very important nowadays. It's not about nowadays. Now people have already realized that how important is exercise during this pandemic, because even the WHO has given us the guidelines that the first line of boosting up your immunity is through exercise. I'm not talking about only physical activity, I'm talking about exercise, because exercise and physical activity is different. We already know, and I have already explained in my previous videos also, because physical activity is only the bodily movements done by the skeletal muscles. You know, we're talking, and right now I'm also talking, that is called the physical activity. But exercise is basically a subset of planned physical activity which is done in repetition purposely to get the desired health benefits and to train the muscle groups in a proper manner so that we get the desired benefits. That is exercise. So that's it, guys. So just like self-medication, taking over-the-counter drugs is harmful for your body, in the same manner also, without consulting a doctor, if you take medications, you are going to harm yourself. Just in the same way, if you without consulting a professional, fitness professional or an exercise physiologist or a certified trainer, and you keep working out without consulting a fitness expert, that is definitely going to not that harmful, but you are not going to get the results. So before starting any exercise regimen or any medication regimen or any kind of workout plan, you need to consult with a fitness expert or a fitness trainer. Then only you will be able to do the exercise in the proper manner and you will be able to meet your desired fitness goals. Because what I have seen nowadays is that, you know, there are a lot of people who have been advising on exercise, but I don't think so, like, you know, the way they are presenting the videos, I don't think so they are qualified enough to give the right dosage of exercise. Because remember, exercise is medicine, already been declared by science, by ACSM. Movement is medicine. So until and unless you take the right kind of dosages of exercise or any kind of medication, you are not going to get the results. That's why most people get frustrated. They start complaining about exercise. They keep on telling that I'm not getting the sufficient desired results, and as a result they stop exercising, and what happens? They suffer. So that's the reason. Before starting any exercise regimen, always consult a certified and a qualified professional. Try and check their credentials, either they are qualified or not to prescribe you all those exercises. So that's it, guys. If you like my video, please subscribe it and share it to your friends. And I'll be coming up with more important information regarding exercises. And believe me, exercise is medicine, movement is medicine. So keep on taking this medication at the right dosages under the supervision of a qualified trainer. You will always get the maximum benefit out of any workout program. Thank you. Thanks for watching.